Welcome to Zen in a Moment, episode 28 with Zen Cryer DeBrook. We are doing a little bit of a series on fear here, just so I can ground with you what really fear is, because I know that we feel it, but there's all different types of fear. Today we're going to be talking a bit about the difference between mental fear and physical fear. So the kind of fear that I am on a mission to completely evolve the human species out of is the mental fear. Most fear that we have in our lives is a mental, emotional experience. What I mean by that is we have a fear of losing our money. We have a fear of our child being taken. We have a fear of cancer. We have a fear of someone not calling us back and being mad at us. We have a fear of losing our jobs, or we have a fear of never accomplishing our purposes. All of these fears generate in the mind. Most of them, the flavor, the color, the texture of the fear will come from your programming between the ages of 0 and 7. You pick up a lot of fear from your parents, how you process unpleasant thoughts, which get turned into fear, and stories that you have about the world around you, which also generate the fear experience, is very different than what chemically happens in the body when you're in an experience that you need to save yourself from, all right? What I have found, and it's very interesting, is that when using your internal guidance system and the tools that I teach at Smart Soul Academy, you learn to find the fearful thought and then do what I call a pivot. A pivot is moving yourself into a new way of thinking, calibrating it until the fear in your body releases completely. The tightness in your throat, your chest, your solar plex area, that uncomfortable feeling that will be there when you're in fear, that you can pivot and that'll release instantly. Now you've found the thought that is fear-free. Now that thought may be an unpleasant thought or pleasant thought. And what I mean by that is you can open at what people call negative things. Like when I had cancer, I felt the lump and I thought, this is cancer, and I opened. Now most people would be afraid of that. But fear is in the mind in this situation. And I just opened because it was true. If my mind had jumped to the next conclusion that I was going to die, or I was going to be sick for months, or everybody around me was going to have to watch me wither away, or I was going to leave my children, or any of that, those things would have closed me and it would have shown up like fear, unless those things were true. If they were true, I would be open, and there's this centered discernment wisdom experience that occurs. All right? Now, there have been many times in my life where I've had a student come up and say, Zen, you're wrong. My mom was horribly fearful and she was right. So here's the story. Her daughter, my student, was taking mom out for a boat ride on a big lake in a Kodiak boat. And the night before, she had started having fear about going on the ride the next day. She kept feeling like it wasn't okay. So when she got there, the fear got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as she tried to get on the boat. She finally decided not to get on the boat. They went on the boat ride anyways because it was paid for. Mom stayed on shore. The boat flipped. They were hanging onto the outside of the ropes of the boat for a couple of hours before they could be saved. Her mother would not have had the strength, is what they're assuming, to survive that and could have drowned. And so she called me up and she said, hey, it's not true. My mom's fear was right. She was terrified and it was right. And I asked her to call her mother back and say, were you afraid because you were trying to get yourself on the boat? Meaning she was trying to talk herself into how silly she's being. Her daughter bought this for her. She should get on the boat. She doesn't want to be a wimp. She doesn't want to be weird. She should just get on the boat and go for the ride. And as she's trying to talk herself into getting on the boat, which is not true for her, and her body is closing at the thought of forcing herself on the boat, she got tighter. And as soon as she decided not to go on the boat, did her body open. The other thing was, I asked her, when she had the thought that she shouldn't go on the boat tomorrow, was it a fearful thought instantly? Or was it an opening thought? She went back and she talked to her mother and she called me back and said, you're right. My mom had a deep knowing. And then as she tried to talk herself into getting on the boat and going ahead with the trip, that's when the tightening happened. So it was still absolutely true. If you are afraid of something and it's true, and you can't even say that because fear is closing, but if you have a knowing about something and it's true, it will open you. Not getting on a flight, not making a payment. I had somebody who was being harassed by back taxes on her property, and every time she went to make the payment and clear out her savings and make it, she closed. And every time she thought about not making the payment, staying in trouble with the property tax issues, she opened. Completely counterintuitive. Your IGS is attached to truth. And if you are not supposed to go down a dark alley, it will open you. They could not drag you down this alley because you're like, no, this is not right for me. And that's the kind of fear-free experience, discernment, and wisdom we need right now as we are being dragged all over the place with people who are trying to push their concepts of fear all over us. We don't have a tool to stop and say, no, that doesn't feel true for me, and I'm not following you, the Pied Piper, down that path of fear and starting to make decisions for my life in fear. Now, physical fear is when your amygdala gets triggered and you have a flush of chemicals in your body to make you faster, stronger, your hearing gets better, your eyesight gets better. That spidey sense, that physical sense, there's something going on that your body knows about. It's like that feeling when you feel like you're being watched, right? You get this, what feeling inside. That is a chemical reaction that gives you the capacity to handle a dangerous situation or a possible dangerous situation. That does not come from our mind. That comes from an ancient experience and response that we have that our body knows of. It's mindless very often. Now our mind will jump in and put a story to it, and that story often will be not true, which will create the feelings of mental fear, right? So there's two different kinds. Now, oftentimes there's the fight, flight, or freeze conversation, and I will handle that next because I like these to be short. But for now, I want to let you know that what we're working with specifically is mental fear, constructs your mind has that are not true for you, that are creating the experience of closing in your body. And that is what I believe we can evolve out of as a human species. All right, I'm sending you love. I hope you have an amazing day. Sending you love and blessings. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my Zen in the Moment mini pods. I'm on a mission to eliminate mental fear in the human species. I truly know that the closing of our internal guidance systems is letting each and every human being on the planet know that what they're thinking is out of alignment with what is going to create love, harmony, compassion, discernment, and peace. And that if we all learn to follow our internal guidance system, discover our openings, we will be in flow and in harmony together, and we can create the world that we love. Now, this is not something we can do by ourselves. That is why I have created the Fear-Free Human Collective. The collective is a community of people who've come together to get training on how to use their internal guidance system. It is an amazing experience to be with a group of people who are looking at their closings, taking responsibility for them, and then working together to find openings. Because when those openings happen, magic and synchronicity are the norm. If you are interested in having a group of people who are going through this experience together and are changing their worlds to where, miracles become the norm and we can celebrate them together as we have an extraordinary life by influencing people with our opening and our love and our compassion, that I want to invite you to go to BeFearFreeNow.com, BeFearFreeNow.com, and become a member. We have a free level, a level that is $27, $47, and $97, depending on how deep you want to go with the training and how much coaching access you'd like to have, and to be in a group with me, to be able to be in a discussion with me on how are we going to make this happen on this beautiful, exquisite planet we live on. So please come check it out. I'd love to have you join the fun. Join us all at BeFearFreeNow.com. Thanks so much. I'm sending you love and blessings. Bye for now.